All right, let's dive into Verity, this psychological thriller by Colleen Hoover. It's one that'll keep you guessing until the very end, and if you haven't read it yet, no worries. We're going to give you a really solid overview without giving away any of the big spoilers. But just a heads up, things are going to get pretty intense.
Yeah, Verity is captivating really because of how it blends this intense mystery with some really thought-provoking themes, like truth and perception, the power of storytelling. You really find yourself kind of questioning everything as you go deeper.
Absolutely. The story centers around Loan Ashley. She's a struggling writer, just trying to make ends meet. And then all of a sudden she gets this incredible opportunity to complete the book series of a really famous author, Verity Crawford.
Yeah.
Who has been severely injured and can't write anymore.
Yeah, and the accident itself, it's a huge mystery from the start. Verity's in this almost catatonic state, unable to communicate. Yeah. And nobody really knows what happened to her.
Right. And so Loan is tasked with going through Verity's notes and manuscripts, trying to piece together the remaining books in the series. And this leads her to the Crawford family home, which is a very isolated and eerie setting.
Which is where she meets Jeremy Crawford, Verity's husband. There's a lot of emotional complexity surrounding him, dealing with his wife's condition, raising their young son, Crew, and now he's got this complete stranger living in their house.
Yeah, their dynamic is fascinating. There's definitely a spark there, but it's complicated by the circumstances, to say the least. But then things get even more intense when Loan discovers Verity's hidden autobiography manuscript.
Oh, this manuscript is a bombshell filled with these dirt confessions from Verity about her past, her marriage, even her thoughts about her children. Really makes you question who Verity really is and what she's capable of.
It's truly disturbing, especially the detail about the scar on her daughter Chasten's face. In the manuscript, Verity claims that it wasn't actually a birthmark, implying something much more sinister. Then there's the whole mystery surrounding the death of her other daughter, Harper. Did it really happen the way that everyone thinks it did? Verity's account in the autobiography casts a lot of doubt.
Yeah, these revelations, they really start to mess with Loan's head. She's trying to work on this book series, but now she's got all these doubts and suspicions about Verity, and the line between what's real and what might be fabricated starts to blur.
And then there are all these strange things happening in the house. There's this weird incident where a door seemingly locks on its own. Crew's behavior starts becoming more and more unsettling. And Loan even starts sleepwalking.
Yeah, these events really ramp up the psychological thriller aspect of the story. Makes you wonder if there's something supernatural going on, or if it's all just a reflection of Loan's growing paranoia.
And then there's Verity herself. Even though she's supposedly in this catatonic state, there are these fleeting moments where she seems to show a flicker of awareness, like when she makes eye contact with Loan, or seems to wave at Crew. But then she slips back into unresponsiveness, and you're left wondering if she's deliberately choosing to remain silent.
Almost as if she's observing everything that's going on around her, including the growing intimacy between Loan and Jeremy, but she's not letting anyone know what she's thinking. The suspense just keeps building and building.
Exactly. And then there's this really intense scene in the basement with the baby monitor.
Oh, that scene. That scene reveals a darker side to Jeremy. Up until this point, he's been portrayed as this patient and caring husband. But here we see this flash of anger, frustration. It's kind of unsettling.
Yeah, and that anger seems to stem from the fact that he's starting to suspect that maybe, just maybe, Verity isn't as unresponsive as everyone thinks. He even questions whether he should put Crew back into therapy, which suggests that he's picking up on something troubling.
Yeah, that scene in the basement, it's a turning point in the story. Because it sets the stage for a whole cascade of even more shocking events.
But before we get into those, I think we need to take a step back and really dig into what's going on with Loan, because she's clearly going through a lot, dealing with her own anxieties and grief over losing her mother. And now she's in this incredibly stressful and confusing situation.
Yeah, you're right. Loan's mental state is definitely a key part of the story. She's an unreliable narrator in a lot of ways. Her own fears and insecurities are coloring her perceptions of everything that's happening.
And then there's her growing attraction to Jeremy. You can't help but wonder if her feelings for him are influencing how she's interpreting Verity's autobiography and all the other events unfolding around her.
That's the brilliance of this book. It keeps you constantly guessing, forces you to question everything you think you know about the characters and their motivations. You're never quite sure who to trust or what to believe. And things get even more unsettling when Loan finds herself sleepwalking into Verity's room, like she's drawn to this woman that she barely knows.
Right, and Jeremy witnesses it. It adds this whole other layer of tension and suspicion. Makes you wonder about Lowen's subconscious, and if she's somehow being influenced by Verity.
It's a really unsettling scene, further blurs those lines between what's real and what might just be happening in Lowen's mind. Then there's the whole revelation about Jeremy reading Lowen's manuscript.
Oh yeah, that moment, when he admits that he lied about Verity reading it, and that he was actually the one who recommended Lowen to the editor. It's like he was orchestrating things behind the scenes.
Exactly. Makes you question his motivations. Is he genuinely interested in Lowen's talent? Or is he using her to somehow uncover the truth about his wife?
It's such a tangled web of secrets and desires, and it just keeps getting more complicated. As we delve deeper into Verity's autobiography, her confessions about her past are truly shocking.
Like her admission that she tried to terminate her pregnancy with twins. She claims she felt threatened by their presence in Jeremy's life. It's a very disturbing revelation.
It really paints this dark picture of Verity's character. She comes across as cold, calculating, and deeply resentful of her own children. She even admits to deliberately causing the accident that left her disabled.
Which is just mind-blowing, right? But then just when you think you've got Verity figured out, Jeremy finds another part of her manuscript. A letter. That seems to contradict everything in her autobiography.
It's like a complete 180. In this letter, Verity claims that the autobiography was all a fictional exercise, a way for her to confront her darkest thoughts, without actually acting on them.
She even tries to explain away Harper's death as a tragic accident, blaming it on a hidden fishing net. It's a desperate attempt to redeem herself in Jeremy's eyes.
But can we really believe her? After everything we've read in the autobiography, the book leaves that question open.
Yeah.
Which is part of what makes it so captivating.
Absolutely. And then Verity dies before she can clarify anything. Her death is shrouded in ambiguity just like the rest of her life. It could be seen as a release from her suffering, but it could also be interpreted as a final act of manipulation.
Right. Leaving everyone else to grapple with the fallout and the lingering questions about her true nature. And then we're left with Lowen and Jeremy, trying to piece together the truth and navigate their own complicated feelings for each other.
They embark on this new life together, but the shadow of Verity's secrets hangs over them. The book doesn't offer any easy answers or resolutions, which is what makes it so thought-provoking.
It's one of those stories that stays with you long after you finish it. Makes you question everything you thought you knew about truth, manipulation, the dark side of human nature.
There's this chilling scene where Lowen and Jeremy go back to the old house to clear it out. Lowen finds a letter from Verity addressed to her, tucked away as if Verity knew Lowen would eventually find it. It's like she wanted to have the last word.
And in that final letter, Verity reiterates that the autobiography was all fiction. She tries to justify her actions, but her words ring hollow, especially after everything we've learned about her. It's a stark reminder of her manipulative tendencies, even in death.
Exactly. She was a master at twisting the truth to fit her narrative. But then there's this jarring shift in perspective at the very end of the book. Lowen is back in her own apartment. When a man knocks on her door, he claims his girlfriend is inside with her fiancé.
It's like a parallel to the situation with Verity and Jeremy, reminding us that infidelity and betrayal can happen to anyone at any time.
Lowen's reaction to the situation is really telling. She laughs instead of crying, as if the shock has numbed her emotions. It highlights her own capacity for compartmentalization and denial.
And it makes you wonder if she's truly capable of escaping the patterns of her past. Even as she starts this new life with Jeremy, the book ends on this note of unease, suggesting that even in the face of tragedy, the cycle of betrayal can continue.
It's a darkly comedic ending. That leaves you with this mix of emotions: unease, amusement, a profound sense of uncertainty. Verity challenges our perceptions of truth and morality. It's a story about the dark side of ambition, the complexities of love and loss, and the enduring power of secrets.
Yeah, it really makes you think about how well we can ever truly know someone, even people we're closest to. Verity's ability to deceive everyone around her for so long. It's fascinating and terrifying.
It really speaks to the power of performance, the masks that we all wear to some extent. Verity crafted this public persona that was completely at odds with her private thoughts and actions. It raises a really interesting question. How much of ourselves do we reveal to the world? And what do we keep hidden?
That's such a good point. We all have our secrets. But Verity takes that idea to a whole other level and shows just how destructive those secrets can become, not just for the person keeping them, but for everyone around them.
Right, and it makes you question whether forgiveness is even possible. When someone has been so deliberately deceitful, the book doesn't offer any easy answers, and it leaves you with this lingering sense of unease.
It really does. It makes you re-examine your own relationships and wonder what might be hidden beneath the surface.
I think that's one of the most powerful things about Verity. It stays with you long after you finish reading, and it prompts you to think about the nature of truth, the complexities of human relationships, the dark side of human nature.
Absolutely. It's a book that challenges your perceptions and leaves you with more questions than answers. And for anyone who loves psychological thrillers and stories that really get under your skin, I can't recommend Verity enough. Just be prepared for a wild ride.
Yeah, if you're looking for a book, that'll keep you guessing until the very end and make you question everything you thought you knew. Verity is definitely worth checking out.
So there you have it, a deep dive into Colleen Hoover's Verity, a book that will stay with you long after you turn the final page. We hope you enjoyed this exploration, and maybe it even sparked some interesting thoughts and discussions of your own.